really good race, really exciting race, and I hope we get my favorite thing to happen. That stationary item, and off we go. Dagit sees Heat Man. Square One going to Metal Man. I wonder if Dagit's going to reset, or if he's going to take a look at the characters here. The enemy set. We got frogs off at the go. We got tin cans. So we'll see how the rest of the stage plays out, because Dagit appears to be going with it.
Yep, no recess. Daggit's just taking the... pretty much just rolling with the dice and taking it as it may. Of course, one of our main rule sets is that we have stage names off, so we have no idea where we're going. Square One seemed to have a little bit of easier time with the luck as he goes to Metal Man, and he has a pretty solid start. No enemies in the way that really caused any havoc or chaos on the way. Metal Man is usually one of the easier stages to go to. You can get a couple of free E-tanks in the early goings, but Metal Man can be pretty sneaky dangerous. But it seems like, at least for the time being, Metal Man is being kind of while Heat Man stage, well...
There we go, there's the moles. And they're Buster immune! Ew!
Yeah, kind of goes hand in hand. I was kind of talking about how Metal Man stage could be one of the easier ones, but then you see stuff like this happening.
Dagget's having a little trouble with these Shanky Makers. The interesting thing is the Shanky Makers aren't randomized, so they take 5 Buster shots to get rid of, and he didn't take care of the top one, so he's got to be real careful here about the lag.
Honestly, I wouldn't be worried about the lag as much as damage boosting. He-Man is one of those stages where you kind of have a little bit of focus at damage boosting, where Daggit unfortunately realizes that Buster is not our crash wall weakness, which is a randomized object in the game. But it seems like Daggit, even though he's coming in bruised and battered, he's gonna be able to try to do the Yokus.
Yep, he's got one more Shanky Maker here. Does get a large energy, so that's a good sign. So he should be in the clear here, barring any miss-imp.
Square One decided to use the E-Tank, realizing that it was low on energy. He's going to be the first to see who's going to be our first Robot Master in this sea, going to Metal Man's room. And what we're going to have tonight...
Is this even randomized?
I was not going to say it.
Well, I said it for you, because I assumed you were leaving me open for the pause there.
But anyways... It was a pretty easy fight, pretty standard Metal, not too hard, just pretty much plug them away with lemons while we see Flashman on the other hand.
Yeah, aside from the colors palette, it was pretty much a vanilla Metal Man altogether. But that Flashman's a bit of a jumper, and he's soft weak to Buster, and down it goes quickly. So both our runners done with their first Robot Masters, and Daggit gets rewarded with item 3.
While we see item 1 getting rewarded on Square One's in at defeating our vanilla Metal Man. So we got a Flashman stage sighting and a Quickman stage sighting under normal circumstances.
Oh, did you see that?
Yep, I was just about to mention it. We found our Crash Wall weakness, and it is Metal Blade. One probably would normally be one of our god weaknesses for boobing, which is where this is going to be pretty important. So having Metal Blades out of the equation, while it does help for a little bit of maneuverability with the walls, that takes away a potential god weakness for the boobings.
It does, but having that knowledge is also still pretty good, especially since barring anything in the way of well, never mind. Now that I see that Fat Fiend, we're gonna see that in the screen below. We could potentially get this E-Tank.
Well, maybe not. We got the return of moles, and well, it was almost due from the get-go.
Yeah.
So we got Daggit going the way through our force beams, about to slowly make our way to the Quickman boss room, while Square One's going equally as slow with our unfortunate cluster of interesting enemies that just decide to pop up in the last stretches of Flashman stage.
That is a rather interesting enemy set for that right there. Square One is going to take the time because of that item 1 and the wall weakness. Yeah, I'm going to go in the back door and grab this E-Tank.
Very solid idea. Very good use of the knowledge that he attained. So while we going to see who's in Flashman room, we see an Airman sighting in Quickman's room. So, and speaking of quick man, there he is at Flash.
Dagit taking advantage of Airman's elevated position and shoot him in the foot, and just barely gets him as he was getting sucked right into him. But that would have been death. But he takes him down altogether and gets rewarded with item 2 afterwards. So we know where all our items are.
Very quickly, might I add. Guess we got ourselves a good routing, at least between our two runners, to know where our items are. With items being randomized throughout the entire 8 stages, it could have been much longer for our guys to actually find all these items, but at least for Dagget's end, he found himself quite a couple of good ones.
Well, we're going to have a bit of sinkage right at the moment, as both our owners have chosen or found Woodman stage next. And for those who've never seen the Mega Man 2 randomized journey seed, the music tracks are randomized, and yes, this is Wily 1 music in Woodman stage.
For those that also been around for the randomizer tournament, you notice that we're not trying to actually zip, because one of the major rules, aside from having hidden stage names, is that this is entirely zipless. This is going to be a zipless tournament, so there will be nothing too hardcore with zips. So Goodwood is out of the picture, and we're actually going to be forced to go through the top of the tree house, where we're going to see if our enemies are going to be friendly or kind of rude.
Bit of both, I guess. They're all Buster susceptible. It's just Metroids and Joes and Gear enemies, so I'd say friendly enough.
Yeah, it could be much worse. Even Fan Fiends can be a problem here. But seems like Square One trying to use the Leaf Shield, definitely good for the Gears, but not much else.
It's taking a damage boost off that Joe to get up to that platform.
Daggett taking a good quick piece shot to the blockies. Luckily, they're one shot with the Buster. Those could be one of the most annoying enemies.
Well, yeah, Daggett wanted to use that item too, but then he noticed the chandelier hiding in the trees because Rando's gonna rando.
Daggett, the first one, heading into Woodman's corridor. We're gonna see who's in Woodman's room, and tonight we're gonna have ourselves. Why?
It must be. We're past springtime. I don't know why he's pink.
Anyway, he was pretty strong to the Buster, but it was still a very generous Woodman as Daggett easily takes it down. Square One's following suit. We're gonna see how he handles Wood, as Airman's gonna be Daggett's next stop.
Well, Airman can be a nice stage or a rough stage. We'll find out in a few moments here. With our enemy set in the first section here, we just see toothpaste dispensers and the chandeliers, but we still got a long section of this stage to go, and there's some shrimp. Okay.
But Daggett, being the veteran as he is, knows he has item 2 and knows where just to put it so he can just fly over quite a majority of the first parts of this stage. Especially for Airman stage, this definitely could have been one of the rudest stages in the entire randomizer. There are ruder stages, but this definitely comes close. But we're about to see what the second half has in store as Square One begins his descent down Quickman stage. So, of course, for Square One, we're going ahead.
I was saying, it looks like it's the Joe-friendly skies for the second half here.
Yep, the Joe Air Force is just infesting the area. Mega Man's got to shoot him down as part of the air raid.
It's still better than the Joe skies that I had to deal with last Thursday.
Yeah, the Joes are actually pretty friendly here. Yeah, I ain't gonna continue with that. Regardless, Daggett is on his way to the air corridor. I'm about to see who's in this room, and tonight is gonna be Heatman. Heatman could be one of the most annoying bosses in the game, but one, he's a fast burner. Not to mention, he's also Buster Soft's weak. But he's not gonna keep with the Buster, amazingly enough. He's gonna go do some weakness hunting.
I think he's better off sticking with the Buster here. The Quick was pretty much doing the same amount of damage, but the soft weakness for the Buster and the quick boy that he is, he kind of just gotta stick with the Buster on this.
Square One taking a death on Airman stage, being of low health. Probably could have used the E-Ting, but I think it was low enough so that he can just start over fresh, which not too bad of an idea. It's kind of a heads and tails decision, but I think we can live with it.
Yeah. So far, our runners are just retracing their steps at the moment. We still haven't found Bubble or Crash yet, but those are still to come.
Square One getting his item too. Notice that Dagit found Heatman very, very early, and now we got Heatman right on Square One's end, which actually, thank you, Square One. You're about to bring up my point, because thanks to having items on his hand, especially with item 2 here, and if he decides to use item 1, he could actually help as well. He's going to make up quite a bit of time in Heatman stage compared to Dagit, who was unfortunate to have Heatman spotted early.
Yeah, it was also an interesting choice to stick with it going into that Heatman first, but I think Dagit decided, you know what, let's see what the enemy set is first before I do anything.
Yeah, it's kind of a high risk, high reward situation, because we got to remember there could have been an item in Heatman stage, a very useful item. Of course, we had the classic situation of potentially having item 2 in Heat, but unfortunately that is not the case, as we see Square One has it in his inventory, and I'm pretty sure he's going to use it to great effect come the area with Yoku blocks.
Well, we did get rewarded in Heatman stage 2 because this is where item 3 was. So it did work out in that sense, and we're going to essentially be going into Crashman with a full complement of item.
Dag is on his way to the Metal Man boss room, where he's going to face his vanilla encounter with Metal. We're going to see how he reacts to it. It was a pretty generous and simple Metal Man fight, so yeah, he's just going to stick with Buster. Not going to dig with any weapons, because this is a very easy, very straightforward, very vanilla Metal Man fight.
Yeah, he'll also get his item 1 out of this, and he'll have all the items to go. It will be interesting to see how he handles the next few stages. We'll see if he is able to get the E-Tank. He doesn't know what the wall weakness is yet, but I don't think he's going to bother checking until we get to Wily 2, like most of our runners do. As Square One approaches the Heat boss door, we're gonna see Flashman one more time in this room, who's once again soft weak to the Buster and a Jumpy Boy as well. But he's also weak to the Metal Blade, as Square One shows us. And down goes Flashman.
Having that kind of knowledge can speed up certain fights well, especially the refights. So hopefully Square One can remember this fact, so his Flashman fight can be just a little faster than Dagit's.
Alright, well, here we go. Here's our Crashman stage. Let's see what kind of atrocities await us.
To answer in the chat about avoiding Bubble Man, it's not they're avoiding it, they don't know where it is. Because of the settings that we have with hidden stage names, we have no idea where Bubble Man is. So it just happened to be a coincidence that Bubble Man has a chance to be last in this particular seed. So it's just the luck of the selection process, as Dagit begins to go into Flashman's room, where we're going to find Quickman, while Square One is hoping to make good use of that item 1 and make these very easy moving platform rooms go just a little bit faster.
And Dagit finding air to be an excellent weakness for that Quickman. It takes him down quickly. So put that knowledge in his back pocket for later, as he now moves on to Crashman stage next.
Right now, we have at least a 1 Robot Master advantage for Dagit, as he has 2 Robot Masters left, while Square One still has at least an extra 1 to go through. But we still got quite a bit of game left, and both of these guys are actually moving quite solidly. So we still have a potential of quite a good race as the match continues.
Yeah, if I had to wager, I believe Skware 1's lead is about or Dagit's lead is about a stage and a half. Dagit pulling out that item 2 to use as a platform to get through the elevator section, as that's definitely one way to get through this elevator section when you don't have item 1, as I tend to like to do this strategy as well. But he's going to switch to item 1 now, as he's going to use that to get through this next section a little faster.
Skware 1 using item 3 to full effect on the crash climb, getting up there as quickly as he can, and we're about to see who is going to be one of our robot masters in Crash Room, and am I blind or that's the bubble?
That's a bubble, and that's not just a bubble, that's a Huggles.
That is a dark bubble Huggles.
Skware 1's switching to metal and hoping it'll do its job, as he learned this in his last race versus our species, and uses that knowledge to affect.
That looked like it's gonna be a pretty strong metal weakness, because Bubble Man was gone pretty fast. I'm pretty sure that's a pretty strong weakness in that regard. Vanilla weakness, but still, that is potentially some knowledge for Skware 1 in the future as well.
Yeah, so he's now in our missing robot master stage in Bubble Man.
The light we'll have to have some Baja blasting a little bit, seeing our colors up in the falls.
Oh, well, I've never noticed that before.
Yeah, just a little tidbit. For those that wonder what the watercolor is going to be in here, if you can see the color outlining just below the platforms in Bubble Man stage, you can almost always tell what the color of the water in the area that Skware 1's in is always going to be. So just a little bit of minor knowledge and trivia.
Now, if my robot masters are correct, and if I've correctly been keeping track of which one we haven't seen just yet, I believe our last remaining robot master that we're about to find in Bubble Man stage here is going to end up being Crashman, unless I misremembered.
Yeah, I don't remember a Crashman sighting, so Crashman should be our final robot master here. Fortunately, Crashman normally would have been quite an issue in this randomizer, but thanks to some little tinkering around by Duckfish, who's the creator of the rando, shoutouts to him, we don't have to worry about Crashman shenanigans anymore. And there he is in the flesh. We're going to see what kind of attacking patterns we got from him. And it looks like he's a little bit slow, high jumper, not really aggressive. An aggressive Crashman can be one of the more interesting crashes we have, but it looks like he's also slightly on the dumb side, maybe? Nope, no he isn't.
Yeah, I would say this is probably the kind of Crashman fight where you're just gonna, if for more veteran runners, they'll pull out that quick boomerang and just hold it down and just let the boomerang do the job.
Skware 1 opting to pop in that E-Tank as Crashman just kind of slightly winning the damage between the two. And the classic Mega Man curse of using the E-Tank and not really taking any more damage after.
Yeah. Well, here's Daggett approaching the Crashman fight now, too. Let's see how he approaches it, if any different, as he pretty much has all the weapons but one. I don't know which one he doesn't have off the top of my head, but if he menus, we'll see. But looks like he's just going to stick with the Buster and go with it, and just use the fact that Crashman's not a spammy boy this time and take him down that way.
Yeah, weakness hunting for the rando can be a little bit of a double-edged sword. Getting the information is good, but sometimes it takes quite a bit of lengthy time to find the weapons, to the point that it could be just as harmful as in comparison to just shooting them with the pea shooter. But anyway, we got the greatest eyebrows in video game history on our sites on Daggett. So, of course, for Speed Gaming, you know what time it is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for you to do one of our favorite games. So, guess the color of the Mecha Dragon, and as always, for bonus points and extra credit, guess that weakness. Siberian Bull, I'll leave you for the first honors.
Well, here's a track I didn't think I'd be hearing in this rando. I don't think I've heard it in this rando, even though it's in there. Let's see. Let's go with one of my usual choices in a grimace-looking dragon that's weak to crash.
All right, we're gonna go this time. Let's see if we can find ourselves a yellow dragon, and for our weakness, it's gonna be we're gonna see a Metal Blade's weakness. Square One making the final stretches against the Joe Air Force and heading into his airman room. Gonna find ourselves heat. Should be a quick matchup since he's soft weak to the Buster. So it should be a very quick match for Square One, and he should be following in Dagget's footsteps, who takes a nasty fall. Just kind of misplacing those item ones to get to that ladder, wasting a little bit of time with some very valuable item one resources.
So Daggett getting into Wily stages at 1914. We got Square One about, we'll say 21 even, so about minute 45 ahead.
Daggett making a very wise decision. He sees frogs on the ladders. In that particular screen, there are a couple of enemies that could easily block Mega Man and make the climb before the Mega Dragon very hazardous. So being the guy that he is, Daggett pulls out the time stopper as we got ourselves quite a lovely green dragon.
That is a very green dragon.
Yeah, uses time stopper to just prevent the frogs from getting away, and we find ourselves a Buster weakness. The sea being kind for us this time against the Mecha Dragon. So we got Square One going to the throws of Wily One, the courtyard, dealing with his army of Joes. Daggett going to Wily 2, where we're gonna see if he digs for the wall weaknesses here, since he didn't do it in earlier on. Square One already knows that the walls are weak to metal when he was in Flash. So we're gonna see if Daggett decides to check it here or decides to go it later. We're under the assumption that he's gonna check it here though.
Yeah, Daggett, having seen some of Daggett's previous runs, this is definitely a spot where he tends to go ahead and start checking wall weak. Or makes a liar out of me, like most other runners do.
So Daggett taking the option to just go full throttle and just go straight towards Pico, but let's see who our enemies are going to be in the way. I saw some squirms on the way, a couple of shot men. It looks like our enemies stretch for this stage is not well. We got a Metroid sighting, but the Metroids are going to be way too low to be of any kind of threat.
Nope, and taking that damage boost from the Metroid and just using those iframes to get straight through the chandelier, and we're going to be on our way to Pico here. Pico's interesting because he has 3 weaknesses, and we're about to find out one, if not all 3 of the Pico weaknesses, and which one is probably the better one to choose.
Well, first things first, we gotta always check for Buster weakness, and of course that's not the case, but quickly goes to the quick boomerangs. Not a bad choice.
No, quick boomerang's always a good choice because it's 5 shots, but you don't waste that much ammo, so it's always a good thing to see.
There always could be better weaknesses, but in terms of ammo consumption, you kind of just want to stick to the ones that you don't have to worry about overly grinding for weapon energy for. Weapon management, just like in most Mega Man games, especially the NES era, is still key and is always going to be equally as true for the randomizer.
Well, that being said, down goes Pico. Square One is now starting their Wily 2 run as Daggett moves on to Wily 3. And we'll see if he takes a stop to refill that quick boomerang or any of his items. And it looks like he's going to do just that.
So Wily 3 can be deceptively difficult, and for the most part it could be a really easy stage, but there are certain enemies in here that can make this stage much more troublesome than it could be. We're gonna see what's about to happen in these next few screens in our Pepto-Bismol water.
Like that one, that fat fiend. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's probably the best one. If no one's gonna wind up doing it, the Finnish Inquisition will always strike when you least expect it.
I think they're one of the worst ones, and in my opinion, I think one of the worst ones is the moles, because you don't see the moles go through the water. You see them above the water, so you tend to do a high jump, and you just run into the mole. But either way, Dagit is going to be taking down all three of these fat fiends, and he's going to be doing the big drop here in a moment.
Square One going to his legendary toaster fight. Of course, starting with Buster. Trying to check out here, but look like we got ourselves an air shooter. It's a one shot, and it takes 1 unit of energy to destroy 1 Pico unit. So I think air shooter was actually our main weapon of choice for this fight.
I mean, I'm not going to complain about using 1 air shot to destroy Pico. I will say, if you're going to use atomic heat against these boxes, make sure it's a full charge shot, because you're not going to hit them with a normal shot from the heat.
So Dag is going through the weakness shuffle since Buster wasn't the main weakness. And the front page is not working out very well, but instead we find Leaf Shield. Leaf Shield is one of the worst. Going ahead.
It's not one of the good Leaf Shields. It's the kind of Leaf Shield where the leaves expand out and they don't have a hitbox until they come back in. So if you jump and that Leaf Shield isn't expanded, it's just going to tank off. It's definitely not a good Leaf Shield.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more cumbersome weaknesses. But if you're able to use it correctly, you can still beat them and not use any Leaf Shield energy. So as Square One finds out the unfortunate news about Wily 3, Dagit, having defeated the Guts Tank, is on his way to what we like to call Army Hell. A lot of greens and grays.
Alright. Well, we are coming up to our anxiety rooms here, but first we gotta figure out which floor is the fullest floor, as Dagit jumps to check the first 2, and he's gonna switch to item 2 to ignore the next set. Let's see what he does for the second section here of the fullest floor.
Square One recovering nicely after our surprise fan attack, and he should be coming across after our spike drop, going to his Guts Tank fight. But as you just said, SB, we're about to see who's going to be in our little quote-unquote anxiety rooms. It can be a really painful nuisance depending on what enemy set we're going to have. And right now we got a combination.
Bad enough.
Yeah, a combination of Shrimp and Tellies. Definitely not the worst enemy combination, but Dagit should be able to take care of it pretty nicely.
It's going to depend on where that shrimp spawns in the next room here.
Or the Tellies for that matter. Well, we got nothing, so what's there to say? He wants to use his item 2 to skip the area a little faster, and we're after this screen, we're going to see who our enemy sets on the final stretch towards boobing.
Yeah, and see on Square One's screen, he's taking on the tank, and that's my problem with Leaf Shield sometimes. It's just not necessarily a good weapon against the tank. Gonna try... Looks like he found Crash, too.
So we got Dagit going to the boobing fights. He's gonna check our 2 main weaknesses for it first. So Metal and Leaves are out.
Well, he's gonna do a longer shuffle to get back to Metal for the Crash Ball weakness.
Yeah, and this is where the knowledge that Square One has gained could wind up helping him a little bit. Dagit doing quite a bit of shuffling before he actually finally finds his Metal Blade wall weakness. but it looks like he still managed to find it quickly enough. So, well, of course, since he has a relatively sizable lead, the time taken to find it really wasn't that much.
That's why, and that's why lately when I've been doing these the boo beam fight, and I start with metal, not knowing the wall weakness yet. I tend to after firing on the boo beam to see if it works, to fire on the walls next, because then I don't have to worry about coming back to it.
Daggett having a little bit of issue.
Are you sure the arrow didn't work?
Yeah, it looked like air was doing the deed. Well, we're under the assumption if Daggett doesn't check it again, this lengthy dig could give Square One the time needed to catch up.
Wisely taking E-Tank. Yeah, I think it's air, and he didn't notice it. Yep. I think it's fair to say it was either 2 arrow shots or just some reason the boo beam didn't react the way the others did.
So Daggett took quite a bit of time and kind of got a little unsure about his weakness, but he still managed to find air. But that's still time that Square One could use to his advantage. But Daggett still, once again, still has a sizable lead. The game is still his to take.
Oh, this is a good track for Refights. Jet Stingray.
To remind those that are new to the randomizer for the Refights, the music chosen will stay on and always be on throughout the entire Refights. No interruptions whatsoever, even from the boss music. Taking a little bit from ideas from some ROM hacks that have done the same.
Alright, well, Daggett did end up weakness hunting for Crash when he got there, and found believed to be probably a great weakness, as he used that to take him down, even though he knew about the soft weakness with the Buster. But, you know, with Heat, you tend to go fishing anyway, because you just want that fight to be over with. As Square One is right behind Daggett into Refights, as Daggett's on his 3rd Robot Master with Quickman, and Square One taking the right path by going clockwise.
Always with the clockwise, counterclockwise debates, I promise.
Well, you know who the guilty party is for starting that this year, right?
Actually, to be honest, I really don't, but I'm not going to go there. We're just going to focus on what's going on, and what's going on right now is both our guys are in the Refights, both of them not too far away from each other. Daggett had at least a 3 Robot Master advantage in starting this rematch session. So,
I'll tell you what right now, those bubbles are very well camouflaged. That background is just weird for those bubbles. As our runners now high-five each other, swapping Robot Masters. As Square One's on the win, as Daggett's taking on Woodman.
Square One's halfway done. Daggett about 3/4 of the way done. So Daggett's still holding on to his lead. But right now, we still have no idea about the Wily Machine. The Wily Machine has a chance to be Buster Weak or Buster Immune. If it's Buster Weak, then it's weak. Then the Wily Machine will be weak for both of its phases. However, if it's not weak and it's Buster Immune, we're gonna have to do some weakness hunting. And one of the weaknesses can be locked in between phases. So, for all intents and purposes, we're still hoping that it's Buster Weak, even though odds are it usually is.
Until it suddenly isn't. But this time it is.
And also, welcome SpeedGaming 2, rating us with a good number of 111. This is your boy LV Creed along with Siberian Bull 9, hosting this pretty close matchup between Dagit and Skware1 for the Mega Man 2 Randomizer tournament. We are still in groups. This is Group E right now, as we're trying to weed our way towards the bracket phases, which is double elimination. This is the first match out of 3 between our runners, as Dagit, having defeated the Wily Machine, is on his way to Victory Road, as he's about to be the first to tangle with our alien. In which we're gonna have to find out what that weakness is gonna be, because we don't know what it is, and only one weakness is gonna be able to destroy our alien.
And as usual down Victory Road, we at least have one track that plays through the stage before you get the door. But here we are at the boss fight, and oh my goodness, Dr. Wily's an alien. All right,
But we're not a weakness, so we're doing the weakness shuffle again.
That's a pretty bad heat, and I don't blame him for trying that first.
But we got us a pretty good air shooter weakness, 3 tornadoes, and our final blast going. Dagit wins our first race in the best of 3 with official SRL time of 35 minutes, 49 seconds. GG's to Dagit.
Oof.
Meanwhile, we got Skware1 close behind. Like I said, pretty much on Dagit's tail. So once Skware1 defeats the alien, we're gonna have ourselves our next match coming up shortly. But right now, this seems promising. It's like I said, if Skware1 just gets a good seed and just does most of the stuff correctly, and Dagit winds up faltering just a little bit, we could see ourselves quite an interesting situation.
Indeed, and we'll see how long it takes Skware1 the rounding he does with his checks here in a moment. Here he's switched to air pretty much immediately, saying, "Nope, I'm gonna check that air immediately and skip heat."
So there we go. We got Skware1 finishing his seed with official SRL time of 36 minutes and 55 seconds, which is actually a race PB for him by over 2.5 minutes. Talking about making some vast improvements.
Definitely. Having watched his races, for his first 2 runs earlier in the week, I will say this is definitely a continued improvement from those.
So as we set up for our next race, we got the SRL channel and should be having our seed ready for our runners very shortly. Siberian Bull, keeping up with my personal tradition, what was your observation with the race between Dagit and Skware1 after this first race?
Well, like I said, having called Skware1's match earlier in the week, it's definitely an improvement for him as he had gotten better each race. According to SRL here, it was actually a race PB for him, so that's good to see. But Dagit, being the savvy veteran he is, didn't make too many mistakes, and pretty much ran his race in order to pull out the victory here.
Quite some time, but Skware1, seeing him improve his time as he did pretty much shows a lot of promise in that we can see. I know I'm kind of repeating myself and being a dead horse here, but it's always true. If you get a good seed and you execute well, and you just got that other person who's just a little better than you to make some uncharacteristic mistakes, the race can be so much closer, and Skware1 definitely has a chance to take one from Dagit.
Which I think makes this tournament a little more exciting too, because we got a lot of runners in this tournament who generally don't do zipless a lot. So I think it makes the races much more interesting and closer, because we've definitely had a lot of people excited to come in and watch these, and we've been very fortunate for that too.
Yeah, the fact that it's zipless actually adds a different element to what most of our runners are used to if we've been doing zips. Because you would normally be seeing a lot of trouble areas being skipped, like the 3 platform wheels and crash. If you're good enough to do good wood, the top of the treehouse can be a little bit of annoyance. The metal man zips, all of those are now out the window. So now you're actually forced to deal with whatever the enemy set the seas throw at you, and it's up to the runners to just adapt to what could be potentially dangerous situations, or if you're lucky, you can just breeze by them with Buster in tow and not worry about a thing.
Yeah, so with that being said, for those who are enjoying what they've seen in the first race, we got a link for you that can come up in the Twitch chat here for you to join the Discord. We'd love to see you. We'd love to have you. Want to try this randomizer out on Sunday nights at about 10 p.m. just about every week. We gather together to have our weekly community races. So if you're interested in this randomizer, go ahead, click that link, join the community. And please try this randomizer out because I guarantee you'll have a great time.
So we should have our runners ready shortly. Just making sure that all of our players just have their seeds up and running, getting ready to go. And it seems like we're getting close to ready. It looks like we're just waiting for our Square One to get himself underway, and then we should be starting probably about in a minute or so.
So for those wondering as far what's coming up in our current tournament, tomorrow night we're gonna see the Dagit again take on Charlie Boy in more was Group E. Am I correct?
That is correct.
All right, that'll be taking place at 10 p.m. tomorrow night. And Saturday at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Mind you, these are Eastern times. We have the Daggett taking on RSBC in his third match in Group E. So look forward to those races coming up in the next 2 days. And it looks like we got Square One all squared away. I'll see myself out for that one.
You do you.
All right, so folks, if you enjoyed the first race, and I enjoyed the first race, I'm getting excited for this second race. Let's see if Square One can steal one from Daggett here in this second race of this best of 3 here, as we're about to get ready here, as the floodgates will be released shortly.
So look like both our guys have readied up. The floodgates have been released. So in a few seconds, of course, once stream catches up to us, we're about to have our second race of our match of 3 between Daggett and Square One. Daggett winning the first race. Square One hoping to keep his chances alive and force the game 3 winning the second. So we're in for hopefully another barn burner.
Yeah, let's see if Daggett gets Heatman again and he continues with it like the first seed. It was interesting to watch him not only get Heatman, but stick with it as the enemy set was relatively friendly for him. But see if he does it again this seed, and if he gets Heatman and/or Crashman first.
All right, looking like we're just about ready to hit off, and there we go. Both our guys are